This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, talk, inspiration, and prayer. Listen to my show every Monday from 11 to 12 on KWWJ 1360 AM, KYOK 1140 AM, KCOH at 1230 KCOH.com, Sankeet Radio at 95.1 FM, 1460 AM, and Latino Sports, KEYH 850 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then.
All right, Houston. All right, Harris County. You have me, a tip from me, talk, inspiration, and prayer. So thank you very much to the audience. And we have a great show today. But first, let me just say, if I sound a little nasally, it's because I'm a little nasally. No, I have my allergies. They're getting me hard. I've been traveling this weekend. I was seeing my daughter. I was able to judge a contest for fixed income at the University of Chicago. And boy, are those young people bright. It really goes to show you that we are in good hands in the future with young people like that. So amen to that. And then, of course, I went to see in Miami a play that my wife and I are co-producers of called Here There Are Blueberries. And we'll talk about that at another episode. But today I have a really important guest. And I've met him before. And of course, I know some of his board members, Lisa Helfman and others. Of course, Lisa's wonderful. Everybody knows her from HEB and other things. But his name is Mr. Brian Greene, and he's the president and CEO of the Houston Food Bank. So, Brian, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me here.
Well, thank you. And of course, you are the man about town right now. And sometimes that sounds like a good thing, but maybe right now it's kind of like not, because all of a sudden there's so much pressure on food insecurity and people who need the food bank more than ever. And we want to talk about that. And I want to talk about what's been happening at the federal level and how have you been able to cope with all this demand. And then I want to go through back really the history of the food bank and, you know, what's sort of, and I hate to say this, but normal routine and what's been happening recently. So let's talk a little bit about the food bank. So, of course, you've been the head of the food bank for now how long?
20 years now.
20 years. Oh, my gosh. Was there a time, and of course, you're very young, but was there a time when young Brian Greene was walking the halls of Houston and you know, high school, and did you think to yourself, one day I'm going to be able to really, really help people in society with their food insecurity? I mean, did you ever dream you'd be doing this?
Well, actually, so I've been doing this for 37 years.
37?
Yeah, so 20 in Houston, and I started running the food bank in Knoxville, Tennessee in 1988.
Wow.
Yeah, the board hired me. I was 25 years old. I was straight out of graduate school in economics, and for some reason they thought, oh, put that guy in charge.
Yeah, he can do it.
This was in the early days of food banking. It's fairly small. We had like 6 employees. And, you know, the vision that we had then was that we could actually end hunger through surplus food, because there's more food wasted in the United States by a lot than there is hunger in the United States.
No kidding.
Yeah, so our theory of change was, you know, if we just got the surplus food from the food industry, which is many billions of pounds, and we channel it through a network of pantries and other voluntary organizations to get to those families who are struggling, if you just did enough of it, you wouldn't have hunger.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this. How is it that the economics are such that there is so much excess food? I mean, is it just waste? Or is it the economics of the pricing that somehow you have to, we're making just so much because productivity is so great, the price would plummet, and therefore people would just, you know, farmers go out of business? I mean, what's really happening that there is so much excess food?
Well, it's interesting. There's actually 2 categories. There's what they call food loss and then food waste. Food loss is where conquering the logistics of food. So it's the upstream challenges, farm level waste, packing house waste at the warehouse, et cetera. And then there's food waste, which is generally at the supermarket level, the restaurant level, the household level, that kind of that last mile. In the U.S., most of the waste is food waste. Okay, and that's like, we can't do anything about you not finishing your plate at home.
Right.
That's just lost. But in the United States, kind of as a rich country, and where consumers are very picky when they go to the supermarket and they say, oh, there's a dent in the can. I'm not buying that can. I want perfect soup.
Right.
So there's just huge amounts of that. And that's where food banks started, is trying to capture that sort of, the blemishes, et cetera.
Wow.
And we've moved more upstream to more the loss level, so where almost half of our food now is fresh produce, and that is overwhelmingly we're getting it at the farm level and the packing house level, and it's what they call their number twos, the bent carrots, the onions that are too small, et cetera. And there's billions of pounds of that, and that's the food loss category. And so that's where the waste is coming from, and that's what we're handling. And we're now handling it at a level that theoretically would have ended hunger in the United States. But what we've kind of learned over the years is that our theory of change was actually wrong. We misunderstood how food insecurity, how hunger actually works in the United States.
I mean, this is fascinating. I have so many questions. I don't even know where to begin. But, one thing that's always, people have what's called a pet peeve, is when you go to these big banquets and there's, 800 people in a banquet hall, and they just automatically assume everyone's going to want a salad, this and that. And it's always food that sort of I don't really like, the salads and these sorts of things. And it's kind of like, I always feel so bad, like guilty, like, where does all that go? All that excess, because you have 800 or 1,000 meals, and most people don't even eat the whole thing. I guess there's no way they can redistribute it to anyone, right? It just goes in the trash. Is that right?
Well, that depends. So if the food has been exposed to the public, then that's trash.
Yeah.
We can't touch anything if we are not 100% sure that it is safe. So
Wow.
if there's any question at all, then we have to throw it away, because you think about it.
Right.
You don't want to help somebody and then get them sick.
Get them sick.
However, if this was something that was prepared but not brought out for serving, then that is something that can be rescued, and so we'll rescue that.
Well, it's interesting you say the word rescue. That's a great word. I did a couple of food giveaways with Representative Christina Morales, and I remember we partnered with you with the food bank, and I mean the fresh produce is incredible. I mean the carrots were like beautiful. They're like huge, and they're thick. I mean really. And I remember,
and often too thick.
Yeah, well, but they're fantastic. And what's fascinating to me during COVID, especially, we were active, is sometimes you hear, sort of, what's the right word, but heartless people say, oh, they don't need it. They're just not wanting to work. You hear these sorts of callous remarks about things from people. But when you see people lined up for 3 hours in a car to get fresh food, hunger's real. It's real, and it's everywhere. What is your take on something like that?
Well, that is, it's been part of my personal learnings. I mean, I came I got fascinated by this because I was actually in a doctoral program in economics at the University of Tennessee, and I took a leave of absence so I could do kind of a do-gooder stint before I got back to my career. But I also wanted to go learn like hunger or homelessness, which are two phenomena that don't make much sense in a rich society. So I wanted to get a job, any job, I didn't care what it was, in the homeless space or the food security space. And that's how I got the food bank job. But anyway, the fascinating part was like, well, what's really driving this? Why do we have food insecurity in a rich country? And when I started in food banking, most of the households that we served were unemployed. Okay. Now, most of the households we serve are working households.
Wow. And
the Census Bureau calculations are that 2/3 of the food insecure households have an adult who works. It's not what people thought. The real issue is the economy has really changed over the last 4 decades, where low wage employment has become the number one issue that is driving food insecurity. The reality is like most of food insecurity is not households below the poverty level. Most of the households who are below the poverty level are not working or marginally working. For instance, people don't realize that the number one determinant of food insecurity is actually disability status. The highest correlation of all is food, is your disability status. And so those are households that are much more likely to be below the poverty level. But anyway, so most of food insecurity, these are working households. They're just not making enough money to be stable. And this is what is the real story of food insecurity. Is people think that food insecurity is about food. That was what I thought. You know, oh, we've got enough food. No, it's you're trying to pay your rent. You're trying to pay your utility bills. Any hiccup at all, and you're in trouble. And you got kids in most cases. So it is trying to balance all these other expenses, and then food is the most flexible of the expenses for most households.
Wow.
You can't pay 90% of your rent. You can't pay 90% of your utility bills. You can pay 90% of your food costs.
Wow. Hold on. There's so much I have to ask you, but we have a caller already. Junior, are you on the line? Is there a Junior on the line?
Yes, sir. Can y'all hear me?
We
Loud and
can.
clear?
I've got Mr. Brian Greene, who's the head of the food bank. And Junior, what do you have for me, or what do you have for Mr. Greene?
Yeah, what I got for both of you guys. And thank you, Mr. Greene, for coming on. Great information. You kind of answered my question in your comment a second ago, but first of all, man, you know, they talk about different ways to die. You know, they talk about heart disease, cancer, high cholesterol, diabetes. But man, one of the worst ways to die is to starve to death. You're talking about a slow, painful death. That's a hard way to die, man. But I was at a big establishment a few years ago, and I came there in between they shift change, and they had all kind of chicken and chicken tenders and French fries, all kind of goodies just left, and they was putting it in a big bag and throwing it away. And I asked them, well, how come y'all can't use that to feed the hungry? And their response was, we don't want them suing us. So my thing is, Mr. Greene, is it any kind of way a lot of these restaurants can come up with a deal where all the food that they have left over, can't they just give it away to hungry people, man, without any repercussions?
Stay with us, Junior. So I'm going to rephrase.
I am.
Don't go, Junior. That's a great question.
Okay.
So part of it is, I'm going to break it down to two parts. One is what happens to the food in the freezer at the restaurants that, let's say, is just too old for them to use, and then what happens to the food that is prepared but not eaten, and what happens to that? There's sort of two parts to that.
Right.
Go for it.
Okay, so I also want to answer the liability question.
Please.
So in the U.S. and in the state of Texas, we have a Good Samaritan law, and it does protect a corporation or company from liability for a good faith donation of food. So they are protected so long as it was in good faith. If they deliberately did something wrong or they were grossly negligent, that's the criteria, then they could get in trouble. So the liability part is generally absolved. Now, as I said, if that food is potentially exposed, so it's gone out, then yeah, they need to throw that away, and they wouldn't be protected if they didn't. If it's a restaurant, restaurants have very small quantities by our standards of surplus. They would go broke if they didn't. Food costs is the number one thing they're trying to control in a restaurant environment. So they have these small, like, oh, it's 8 pounds, it's 12 pounds, or whatever. The economics of capturing that make it actually not viable. You can do it, but
Right.
We can get a 40,000 pound tractor trailer load of fresh produce where we picked the farmer to pick and bag it, they donate it, and we paid the cost to transport it in. 40,000 pounds run us on average about $6,000 to get 40,000 pounds.
Wow.
But like large quantity, trying to chase after 8 pound, 20 pounds.
Right.
The math of it
That's right.
is horrible. So you're not dealing with that. It's when you get to like the convention level, like at the hotels,
Right.
et cetera, that the math of food rescue makes sense. And it makes great sense at the supermarket level. The meats that hit the sell-by date, you know what they do with those now? At almost all the stores, they freeze it at the sell-by date, and then we pick that up frozen. And now we've got months. So capturing it is what we're trying to do. The liability part is solved. Having the ability to do it, be able to afford to do enough, and then that's where we have to make decisions on what are we going to go for versus what does the math not make sense.
Well, let me
to
ask
do.
you, what does it mean when you say sale by? Are those dates like too conservative?
Oh, well, so
In other words, I've always wondered, sell by.
Yeah.
Does that mean like after that it's going to be, I don't know, poisonous, or there's no nutrition? But clearly, there is life after sell by.
Yeah, so there's two real basic types of it. There's a kill date. Usually it's called expiration, but sometimes they'll label a best by, use by, sell by as an expiration, but that's not what they mean. Things like medicines those are kill dates. When you say expires there, because the medicine degrades. Baby food, that's a kill date because babies, that's the only thing they're consuming. And yes, it's nutritionally starting to degrade at that point. It's not bad to eat, whatever, but you got to make sure that the kid's getting all the nutrients that you intended for that serving. Most foods that you have, those dates you generally have several months afterwards. So there's been lots of studies that food companies do as to what kind of leeway you have. So take cereal example. You've got over 6 months after the use by date on cereal where it's still perfectly good. It's a very conservative date because they know that most households open the bag and then don't consume the cereal quickly.
Right.
So they give it this super conservative date. In the case of meat in the deli, that one's tighter, which is why if it's past the sell-by date and they have not frozen it, we will throw it away. But if it's frozen, just that, once you freeze it, there's just no potential for bacterial growth anymore.
Right.
So when they freeze it on that date, it's perfectly good and it's turned into a very reliable source from us. We're getting it from literally hundreds of stores a day.
Wow, holy cow. Junior, what do you think about all that, man?
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating.
Yeah, fascinating. And great point, Mr. Greene. But Gilbert, you and Mr. Greene, and all of us older people, we have one thing in common. You know how they said when we cook a whole lot of food, like the holidays coming, we're going to be cooking up a lot of food. And we're going to have a lot of food left over. So what we do, we put it up, put it away, wrap it up, and put it in the refrigerator. And once that seasoning get good in it, it tastes even better the next 2 or 3 days later. So, he making some good points about putting it in the freezer. But do they really want to solve the hunger problem? Because this is the last one, and I hang up and listen, Mr. Greene. I've seen situations where churches, because my church used to do it years ago, so they came up with this law about going downtown, feeding the homeless, feeding the hungry. And the police, I've seen situations where police have come in and have dispersed us from feeding the hungry because they said it's a nuisance. But these guys were legitimately hungry. And my question is, do we really want to solve the problem of hunger? And thank you guys so much. Thank y'all.
Junior, thanks for calling in. You're a good man. I think there's two parts to that question. The one is, do we want to? And number two is, can we ever? Hit me.
So I'll start with the can we ever. My conclusion from all this, that ultimately food insecurity isn't about food. Food insecurity is about income. And it's when people have enough income to be stable financially, they don't need food banks anymore. And that's where ultimately as a society we've got to get. And we're going to get there because we're just getting richer and richer as a society. We're just not necessarily have made the adjustments into how does that work make the economy work without having to leave people behind. We've not figured that out yet. We're going to, and it's going to be a lot easier as we just get richer and richer. As you look at the kind of progress we're going to be making with, the automation, AI, et cetera, it's a great potential for us to have a society that works for everyone, or it could be a disaster for us if we don't solve that problem. I think we're going to solve that problem.
So you say we can?
Yes,
okay.
But it's a matter of, it's not going to be a question of, hey, can we just do enough charity to help people get by? That's kind of my lesson in food banking is, we're helping people get by. We're trying to find ways and doing some pretty neat things, we think, to use this resource to help people in a more substantial long-term way as well. But ultimately, this is about people having the income so they don't need us. That is where we have to think about solution.
Well, I've got so much more to ask you, but we have another caller. Is there Mr. Ron Reynolds? Representative Reynolds, is that you?
It's me, Gilbert. Good Monday morning.
I'm so glad you called in. I have Mr. Brian Greene. You probably know him, the CEO of the food bank. You probably have done
I do.
work with him.
I do. And one of my best friends is the chair, Michael Harris.
Oh, how wonderful.
Well, I didn't know that one.
How wonderful. Yeah. Well, you know what? They really do the Lord's work. And I really mean it. When
absolutely.
You go back to the Bible and everything, it's always about trying to help your fellow human beings, and it always starts with food and teach them how to fish, etc. And amen to you and to Michael Harris. But go for it. What do you got for us today, or what do you want to share with Houston and Harris County?
Well, first of all, I want to share with Houston and Harris County and all the world to hear. Congratulations to my friend Gilbert Garcia on his Outstanding Community Service Award. We accepted it on your behalf. Absolutely, a representative from Anise Parker the next county judge accepted it on your behalf because you were unfortunately out of town. But there was a standing room crowd, sold out facility at Stafford Center in my district. They were cheering when they called out your name. You are appreciated, my brother. Thank you for everything you do for the citizens of Houston and beyond. And I wanted to say congratulations. And I want to thank everyone that participated. It was such an extraordinary event. And it's great to give people their flowers while they can smell them. So I called today just to congratulate you, since I didn't get a chance to do it in person last week, my brother.
Well, Representative, thank that is so kind of you. Yeah, I was obligated for months now to go judge this contest at UChicago, where my daughter is, and I had to do that because they built the whole thing around me, and I sponsored it and everything else. But no, man, I know the event was. So I know that event was great. That's what I hear.
It was amazing, man. It was so amazing, and it was a great tribute. And I was honored to be one of the honorees as well. But I was looking forward to taking that stage with you, my friend. But in your absence, we definitely gave you a big shout. But I want to thank the Houston Food Bank. There's so many people that are blessed. And I was with Commissioner Ellis week before last, and he was talking about the more than $1 million contribution that he was able to provide.
Yes,
and we got to keep doing more. I mean, there's so many greater needs because of cutbacks with the federal government and increased demand for food for families. So I want to thank the Houston Food Bank and all the volunteers, everyone that donates their time, their talent, their treasure, people like Gilbert that use their resources to help those less fortunate. So I really am so blessed during this season of Thanksgiving that we have so many caring citizens in this community that really help those in need. So I just really, today is just a call of thanks and gratitude, man. We don't really thank a lot of the people that are on the front line every day. Like a lot of elected officials get credit for things, but it's really the frontline grassroots people like you and Gilbert that are really doing the Lord's work, and I just want to say thank you.
Well, Representative, that is so great. I'm going to go off topic if you don't mind, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but educate us all of where are we on elections and runoffs and the dates and and I'd like to think I'm educated and those sorts of things, but you know what?
Sure.
This whole CD18 and the confusion and redrawing the maps, I got to tell you, I need like a diagram. But at the end of the day, I mean, I know we have a council seat. Just go through the whole thing. When is the runoffs and everything?
Let me give you the Cliff Notes version.
Go.
Because it could be very convoluted, but I'm going to give the listeners a very elevator part. So we have a runoff for Congressional District 18 for the special election, which really covers the unexpired term of Congressman Sylvester Turner, because he passed away. The Governor Abbott never set a date for a special election until November. And then because no one got 50 plus 1%, we have a runoff of the top two vote getters, which was Harris County Attorney Christian Menifee and former City Councilwoman for the City of Houston, Amanda Edwards. The governor has not set a date for the runoff, which means that we don't know yet when it will be. We anticipate it won't be until sometime in mid to late January, or it could be as late as early first week in February. Lord forbid those residents, those constituents of the 18th Congressional District will still be without congressional representation. And that is taxation without representation. And that is wrong. It goes against everything we stand for in the Constitution. And then you have Congressman Al Greene that announced, and he filed for the 18th Congressional District for the full term in the general ballot, which would be the next Democratic primary, which take place on March the 5th. That is confusing, but he is not running in the special election, but he is seeking the full term of the 18th Congressional District. He is no longer running in the 9th, his current position, because he was redistricted into the 18th Congressional District. So there's two separate elections that will be to fill the unexpired term, which was Christian Menifee and Amanda Edwards, and then Al Greene, and then whoever else, I imagine, Christian Menifee, Amanda Edwards, and many others will likely run for that. Then you have the City of Houston, the same thing for the at-large race for Letitia Plummer, who decided to run for county judge, so she vacated her seat. The top 2 vote getters in that race, no one got 50+1. So former city council member Dwight Boykins is in the runoff, and a newcomer who is an amazing attorney, Alejandra Salinas, is running for the city council seat. That election is set for December the 13th. So we do know the date for that special election. And there's also an election, a runoff for Houston City College, former Houston Community College. So there'll be several elections on the ballot for runoff, but the Congressional District 18 that a lot of people are buzzing about, we don't know the date for that one. Now that is sad, but that is Governor Abbott, and he statutorily gets to decide the date for that election.
So let me just make sure.
I hope that helps, Gilbert.
Well, it does, but let me just make sure I'm clear. So that means that there's the runoff between Christian Menifee and Amanda Edwards somewhere, let's just call it for right now as a placeholder, in February. And that term will end at the end of the year?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's correct.
And
end
then,
of this year.
And then in March will be a primary, and the Democrats run the Democratic primary, the Republican primary, and that election is in November for the following 2 years after that.
That is correct.
Golly, can you
got it correct?
I mean, my goodness, I'm exhausted just saying it. You know what? I'm going to have Dwight Boykins on our show next week, I believe. And so he's a good man, and I know he's running, so I'm going to have him on my show, and he's always a hoot. He's a lot of fun.
Yeah, he is.
Well, let me give you,
Gilbert, that's one thing I want to say.
Go
ahead.
No, you go.
Thank you for allowing candidates a platform so the viewers that are listening can make informed decisions, because they're the ones that will decide the winners and the losers and who will represent us in these respective offices. So thank you for giving a platform, a vehicle, because we don't know a lot about these candidates, but when they come on your show, you ask great questions and people can hear their policies, their positions, where they stand, so they can make informed decisions before they go vote. So thank you for allowing these candidates to come on.
Well, thank you, Representative. One more thing, and let's tie it back to the food bank. So
Sure.
Have you been working with the food bank, and how many people in your district would you say are food insecure?
Oh, Gilbert, there are tens of thousands.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, there are so many people, and I'm not talking about people with a stigma. Oh, they're just bums and they're worthless. No, these are people that are working poor. These are people that are struggling to make ends meet, but they're working. So these aren't people who are just sitting at home waiting on people to give them some food. These are people working every day, but they don't have enough resources with inflation, the cost of rent rising, and everything else to really have extra. They're living on the margin. So these are working people that are hard working, that are trying to make it, and because of the food bank and their generosity, they're able to have a little bit more to spread to their family, to feed and have nutritional food to eat and have a balanced diet. So it makes so much of a difference. I had 2 food distributions from the food bank on Saturday in my district. One was at the Impact Church with Pastor Ray. I was out there. And then another one was over at Progressive High School in my district over in Fort Bend ISD. So we had 2 distributions. One was in Fort Bend, Houston, and one was in Missouri City. But the food bank, and there was obviously tons more, but those were 2 that I was at just this past Saturday. And Gilbert, the lines, you would be amazed. The lines looked like Black Friday, a sale where people were waiting days. I mean, you talking about lines wrapped around the corner. I drove down, I was like, wow, this is amazing. But these people were needing that food assistance. So I want people to know there's no stigma. Don't let the media fool you in thinking that these are just some lazy welfare recipients. No, that's not true. Many people I know that are struggling, they need this to help stretch the living on the margin. So it's because of the food bank that they can stretch the dollars to be able to, provide some food security for seniors and children and just families, period. So I could say tens of thousands, Gilbert. I don't have the exact number, but there's tens of thousands in my district alone.
It's a bunch.
Yeah.
Representative,
in my district alone.
I'm hugging you in the phone. Thank you for calling in. Thank you for those kind words you said about me.
Friend. Have a blessed day and keep up the great work, guys. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Sir.
So let's come back, Brian, which is, now you made something interesting. When you first came here, I thought you said there were 6 people.
No. My first food bank in Knoxville, Tennessee, in 1988
was 6 people.
Yeah.
When you came to Houston, that was what year again?
2005.
Okay. And how many employees did you have then?
65.
65. And what are you now?
380.
380?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And would you say, I don't know if you have this stat, when you first came, what amount of, I don't know the right metric, but tonnage would y'all distribute, and where are we now?
Let's do pounds to make it
Pounds.
simple. 30 million pounds a year.
That's where it was, or that's where it is?
That's where it was.
Where is it now?
This year we'll probably hit close to 180 million pounds.
That's, I mean, and you say that so nonchalantly, like it's just like nothing but a thing. That is humongous.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, that's humongous.
yeah. So the reality again of food insecurity is we don't solve hunger. I mean, just we do the best we can, and we're helping people do better. There's so much more of the surplus than we're even doing today, that it really just is a matter of solving the logistics of this resource to try and channel it to help these families. So that we actually kind of look at the value-based nutrition thing, which is why we emphasize produce so heavily. We hope to get produce eventually up to 70% of our output.
What is it now?
It's a little under 50%.
Okay.
But big time, we look at it as food value, because that's what we're really doing, is we're helping people meet their expenses. They got to pay their rent. Medical costs have become a huge factor of what drives food insecurity now. So anyway, we're trying to help people get by. So we're now distributing at a rate of about $250 million worth of resources a year. Okay, $250 million. And so part of our evolution of thinking is to say, oh my goodness, that is a huge amount of money. How are we investing that to cause the most long-term impact? And it's caused us to change a lot of strategies, whereas historically it was all about working with the pantries, et cetera. And we still do that. And we're not cutting them off because we're doing more food, but we're trying to do more and more creative initiatives like what we call food scholarships with the community colleges and the universities for lower income students, to provide them with a reliable food supply that would be function like a scholarship. Just as you would get a $2,000 scholarship, the purpose of the scholarship is to try and improve graduation rate, make college more affordable. Well, we can do that with food to the tune of tens of thousands of students. Because you just do the math on that $2,000 out of $250,000, it's not too much.
That's right.
So we're deep into the thousands of students now, working with pretty much all the community colleges and most of the universities. And our goal is to get that to the tens of thousands of students, with the real goal there. Not so much, the student never goes hungry, but rather the student graduates. And then we're doing similar work in the healthcare side. Most healthcare outcomes have nothing to do with medical care. It has to do with your social determinants of health: diet, exercise, living conditions. Well, as I said, almost half of what we're doing right now is fresh produce. What if we channeled that working with doctors, clinicians who are trying to address people's wellness, and they say, look, you need to change your diet, and the food bank has a resource to help you do that. So we do what we call food prescriptions. And again, we're working with almost all the clinics and many of the hospital systems to do food prescriptions. And where the doctor says, okay, I want you to get with a food bank, and then we give you rights to special allocations of produce and healthy foods at one of these food markets, which are free. But they're kind of like a pantry, only it's shopping style, and you get you get more.
This is not like your parents' old food bank. I mean, this is like high-tech stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, this is really like, there must be like, I don't know, psychologists or PhD, something involved to really help y'all figure out where we're going in the future. I mean, this is some thoughtful stuff.
It is an advantage of being in a place like Houston, is there's so many academics here.
Yeah, no wonder.
And yes, we have had massive help from academics, like Shrila Sharma over University of Texas Health School has been helpful. Lisa Helfman has been quite a thought leader in this work. The whole Brighter Bites concept.
Yeah, I love her Brighter Bites. I mean,
it's all about using this food supply, combining it with nutrition education, plus kind of demos and food recipes and stuff to try and flip households into being heavy produce consumers. It's a great use of this resource, and as I said, there's way more of this resource than we're tapping into even today.
Wow, hold that thought. We got so much. Oh, a little bit. Hold it. Let's see. There's a question here. We have. By the way, there's a bunch of things that are always scrolling, But let's see what this one is. This is for Tanya Gonzalez Ingram, who, of course, a lot of us know her. She's very active in the community, working with candidates and other progressive issues, et cetera. I'm a little late to this. Okay. Reverend Food Bank, could Mr. Greene explain how community could donate? Okay. Money or food. The holidays are coming up, and I'm concerned about our communities. Very good. Can anyone be helped by the food bank regardless of immigration status? Oh, what a great question. So the first is, let's start with, how can someone donate or get involved?
Yeah, so the best way is money or time. Food drives, the reality is, for you to spend $1 to buy $1 worth of food so you can give it to us is not very good math. As I just explained, I can get a tractor trailer load of produce that's worth at least 50 grand for $6,000. Why not take advantage of that multiplier?
Right.
So we really prefer the money over the food, but we even more prefer your time.
Right.
So much of what we can get, the reason why they'll donate it to us is because it's a problem. It is not ready to distribute unless you inject labor into it. So the biggest change for the food bank hasn't been in how many staff members, it's been how many volunteers we have.
Very interesting.
So we had last year 94,000 unduplicated volunteers.
Wow.
We are an absolute machine. We can handle, the facility is designed now to handle up to 1,000 volunteers at a time.
Wow.
And so we try and make it a fun experience, engaging, and then very, very productive. So we try and waste as little of your time as possible because that's what enables us to do maximum amounts of food, which is why Houston has the largest food distribution of any food bank in the country, actually in the world, is because our volunteer corps is so much larger than anyone else's, and we utilize that time really well. So time, money, those are the things. Second question was about immigration.
Yes.
We serve based on need. We stay out of that conversation entirely, which means, yes, we are not checking immigration status. We are only checking for need.
Amen to you. You know what? You're on the fast track to heaven. There's no doubt in my mind. Isn't that incredible, Houston and Harris County? I got so much more to say, but we have another caller already. Is there a Stacy on the line? And Dr. Kathy, don't go because I know you're on hold. Stacy, are you there?
Yes, I am. I have a question for Mr. Greene.
Go for it.
So with the holiday season coming up, I know a lot of charities do some sort of toy drive. Do you guys have anything specific for the holidays, or how does y'all's need for food fluctuate from now to the holidays? How can we help the need for food during the holidays?
Very interesting. Do you see some sort of like spike up around holidays? I mean, is that normal, or is it just like so overwhelming? But I'll let you answer.
Yeah, believe it or not, actually, the holidays don't really cause a big surge in need. It does create a big surge in attention. And we try and take advantage of that to kind of do well while people are really interested. I mean, the reality, think about it, Thanksgiving is not the day when now low-income families need to eat. I mean, every day. If you look at when hunger is most prevalent, it's actually in the summer. Because with the kids not being in school for an extended period of time, that's 2 extra meals a day that the family has to be able to pay for, and that creates a strain. So it's kind of counterintuitive. But still, we really try and capitalize on volunteer time in the holidays. It's a great time for families to come, and so we try and utilize that. And in terms of toys, so we handle a lot of non-food because when we have like 60 trucks that we have on the road a day.
60 trucks?
I don't mean pickup trucks. I mean tractor trailer.
Holy cow.
And then big bobtails.
And where do they all stay? Where do they park them all? I mean, where is their sleep center? I mean, for these trucks, I mean, it must be humongous.
We have 3 lots. So the food bank, and then we have a truck facility a block away, and then we have another warehouse that we rent, 100,000 square footer in the Greens Point area. But anyway, so when you look at what our core thing is, we're really like a logistics organization that has a mission. And so we realized years ago, is hey, we're trying to save these families money. Well, if I get them toothpaste or toilet paper or any items that saves that family money, that's as good as getting them the food.
That's right. Okay.
And so, we do lots of non-food items. We do have toys, but we always distribute that to charities, so that they do the actual outreach work. That's we kind of are trying to be behind the scenes for them, including if we're doing any sort of toy distributions. So for toys, we don't deliberately say, hey, bring us toys, because again, I'd much rather that the household, the parent, had the money to give the toy.
Right.
So getting them the gift card is my favorite way to help for something like that. Let the parent choose what the kid gets. But at the very least, my recommendation, if you ever have a toy drive, don't do the ones where you wrap the parent present. You don't want to take credit for the,
Right.
Let the parent be the hero.
Yeah. Yep.
That's my only advice on that.
How wonderful. I mean, I'm just amazed at what a big operation it is. I have way more questions, but we have another caller already. Who was that other caller? Dr. Kathy. Dr. Kathy, are you there?
You hear me?
Dr. Kathy, I can hear you. What do you got for us?
Okay, guys, how you doing? Hey, brother Brian and everything. Okay, Gilbert, when I call in, I'm coming from boots on the ground. So if you guys who don't know, I've been in multifamily since 1997. I've been working with the food bank, Kid Cafe, signing up all these nonprofits. But I have to express, again, we have revealed food distributions don't help 90% of my clients. I have been building a resilience hub right here in Acres Home. I worked with MD Anderson and Pearview of these food deserts, but I even went and bought the 18-wheeler food trailer, just like the food bank, because they said they're going to, in Ella, in their new facility, we as partners can come and pick up the food. But when I say it doesn't help me when my people don't have cars. Food distribution is for people who have cars. So I've been reaching out to people saying, hey, I'm as a Black-led nonprofit, most Black-led nonprofits do not get a salary. A lot of the gift cards and partnerships with commissioners and city of council, they're not looking at people who don't get salaries. So when I have people that are unhoused in hotels, or my autism families that can't be in a car very long, or my disabled that can't take a Metro lift and can't take groceries, I've been begging for help. I'm about to close my doors. I have 260 nonprofits, but I'm literally, Gilbert, building a 100,000 square foot resilience hub and watching the city of Houston and everybody have these stakeholders, and somehow Black-led nonprofits are left out. Me and my husband were going up and down the steps. I've been on disaster relief. How can I look at my conventional kitchen that's been empty with appliances for 2 years and not one help? And when this happened with the EBT, we already are full with Meals on Wheels. I couldn't add nobody. So it took me picking up groceries. I'm asking Brian, when do we, like, for example, if I have a truck on, say, at Eisenhower High School, we have to find a way that I can't just get one back. I need to be able to be listed as a partner that says this partner is serving this zip code when she comes and she needs to fill up her van. I should not have to beg second servings or anybody else that I feel as a Black nonprofit, I'm being left out and no one's hearing me. And with this EBT that happened, let's look at it. It's meant, food distributions is meant if you have a car. But if you don't have a car, my phone and my inboxes, because when EPT got cut off, these people were getting deliveries from Amazon and HEB and Kroger's. But you can't do that.
Well, I appreciate the call. So hold on a moment. So, Brian, I don't know if you could kind of summarize some of that. I think let's just talk about the role that transportation plays in people getting to the food bank and getting food to people. Let's talk about just transportation in general, because I think that's the theme of the question.
Yeah, so the food bank itself is basically a distribution center. That's not where you go for food. We deliver. We don't ask partners to come to the food bank to pick up. We deliver for free all the food. We don't charge for the food to the area pantries and other organizations. So the logistics for the families overwhelmingly is the locations of the pantries, plus we do these mobile sites where somebody will say, oh, I want to do a mobile style distribution consistently. And that can be a church parking lot or wherever, where we bring these things that look like beer trucks, but they're multi-temp units with the side doors. So if you look at a map, you can see that, like, Harris it's pretty well covered, but it's not like there's not a dot everywhere.
Right.
Because the other thing that we've learned over time is consistency of doing a decent amount of volume is makes it much more user-friendly for the neighbors than lots of spots occasionally doing a small amount of food. And so we try to have enough coverage by having good enough partners. Now, an issue that people don't talk about food desert is like, oh, the access, like how close
Right.
is a supermarket. And the reality in a community like Houston Metro, where transportation is critical, you're simply not going to be able to have distribution sites that are everywhere walkable.
Mm-hmm.
You would have to have, we're so huge,
Right.
you'd have to have such a massive number that you would have not enough anywhere.
Right.
So like solving that transportation to sites that are at least reasonably close is like people going with a friend, et cetera, is ultimately your best route of solution, as well as trying to have sites on bus routes.
Very interesting. If we could, Mr. Producer, I want to make a contribution right now. Could you put the whole, we're going to experiment right now. How does one make a contribution to the food bank?
The easiest way is to go on the website.
So let's go to the website. Tell it, what's the website again?
HoustonFoodBank.org.
Yeah, let's try to work that out. Let's try to see if I can do that real quick. Find the don't. Aha! Look at that, front and center. Donate. Okay.
So you'll notice though that we try and our website, we make sure like if you're looking for food, we do not bury that information. That's like right up there with the donate button.
I saw that real quick. I'm going to give you this, Mr. Producer, in the interest of make sure my number doesn't appear on there. But let's see. I want to make a $2,000 contribution right now. So let's see if we can do that while we're on the.
Hey, thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome.
Nice, yeah.
You didn't expect to do that, but or have that. But let's keep going because let's figure out if we can do this. So we're trying to do this online as we speak to show you as a demonstration how easy it is to donate money. And again, it's about donating your treasure or your time or both. But we have another caller already. Who was that other caller? Keep going there, Mr. Producer. Is there a Letty on the phone? Letty, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Gilbert. Can you hear me?
Oh, Letty, I know my Letty. How are you? Leticia, how are you? You got me, Gilbert Garcia, the tip from me, with Brian Greene. What do you got there, Letty, for us? What's on your mind? Or what do you got for me or Brian Greene?
Well, I wanted to thank Mr. Greene and the Houston Food Bank for continuing to make sure that our communities are staying healthy, and for a lot of those that are needing the service, and also recognizing that our immigrant population is also in great dire need right now. And I just wanted to thank him and thank the Houston Food Bank, our organization. So I'm with Air Alliance Houston, and our organization actually allows us paid time off to go and volunteer.
Oh, how
For
great.
the Houston Food Bank. So we're very grateful for all of the work that they do, and so is our organization, because a lot of the families that we work with as it pertains to environmental justice issues, a lot of them are food insecure, and a lot of them do rely on the Houston Food Bank to be able to get a lot of their nutritious meals. And to your point, transportation is an issue for communities like Pleasantville. That's a predominantly Black community that unfortunately is a food desert, and they don't have access to these types of meals. And so it's very important, or food, I should say, quality food that is available. So thank you so much for all of the work that you do. And if I could just very quickly plug in the spirit of keeping our communities healthy, Air Alliance Houston is chartering a bus this Thursday, November 20th, to go to Austin to go speak to our state regulators, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, to do better as it pertains to concrete batch plants. And so we want them to hear our voices. And
hold on a second.
Yeah, sure.
Is that on the web?
Okay.
It's not live. Don't worry.
Go ahead, Letty. I had to make sure my credit card number wasn't being online.
I was getting nervous there.
Sorry about that, Letty. But
No, it's okay.
Keep going. I apologize to you.
No worries. That's very important. But yes, just letting families know, letting your listeners know that there is an opportunity to go to Austin. We will be chartering the bus and providing lunch and providing all of the things necessary. There's a registration link on our Facebook. We will be meeting at 9 a.m. at the Carl Walker Jr. Community Center in 5th Ward. And we welcome everyone. You can bring your children. We have plenty of space right now for everyone to join us to go to Austin to speak to our legislators and our state regulators around keeping us healthy. So,
And are y'all going to
thank you
be?
so much. Yeah.
I mean, excuse my language here, but are y'all going to be like lobbying for any particular legislation, or are you just going to go? I mean, do you have a full agenda of who you're seeing, or you've got some issues that you want to bring to the forefront, or just tell us a little bit more about what to expect?
Absolutely. So there are two bills that Senator Alvarado and Representative Wally sponsored this last legislative session that have to do with concrete batch plant industry facilities that can rein them in a little bit better and have more protectiveness reviews over them. And so we're asking TCEQ to take those into consideration and possibly make them a little bit more stringent as it pertains to how they operate in our communities. And so we will be talking to both of those representatives as well as other offices. But more importantly, we will be speaking to the actual state regulators, again, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, to support these bills and, possibly, do more as they hear community stories and just community in general that are interested in knowing more about how this bleeds into our health. Because it is important that, not only are we, feeding our communities, but that we're also keeping them from harm's way. Because unfortunately, a lot of the zip codes that I know that the Houston Food Bank services, a lot of them are also facing environmental injustices in their area. And so that just makes that, it's just layers upon layers that communities are having to deal with in order to, consistently make sure that their health is being, is not on the chopping block.
Amen to the work you're doing, Letty.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
I'm hugging the phone right now. You can't see me, but I am. So please call in anytime you got something to say. So once again, it's Thursday. You're going Thursday. You're going to take a bus. You're going to go essentially go talk to our legislators about this bill, et cetera. What time and where do you meet?
So 9 a.m. at the Carl Walker Jr. Community Center, which is off of Noble and 5th Ward. So again, they can go to our Facebook page, or they can email they can email me at Leticia, which is LETICIA at airalliancehouston.org, all one word. And you can definitely email me to get more information and get the registration link so that we make sure that we have enough food, enough space for everyone to join us. We have plenty of space right now. I know it's the holidays. And a lot of people are focused on so many other important issues, but this issue is very important to us as well. And I just want to reiterate that we do like to partner with other like-minded organizations like the food bank as it pertains to communities' health, and that's why again our board allows us paid time off to go and volunteer for the Houston Food Bank, because a lot of our community, again, relies on them so heavily.
Wonderful. Leticia, thank you for calling in, and call in anytime. That's the Leticia, of course, of the Air Alliance. They do such great work. We're coming back to Brian Greene, of course, the president and CEO of the Houston Food Bank, because, oh, by the way, I just got my receipt. So we just made a $2,000 contribution to
Thank
the
you
food
so
bank.
much for doing that. Well done.
You're welcome. And I encourage everyone. It's so easy. We already did it online. It's fast. It's easy. And by the way, it goes a long way to help Houstonians. We have another caller, but I really want to get some stuff in. So I know there's a Julia. I know there's an Ernie. Don't go away. Brian, real quick. What has it meant, this whole thing with the SNAP benefits and them going away? Now, maybe they're coming back, et cetera, but what has that meant? Has there been a whole overwhelming, like, oh, my God, we're going to lose our assistance from the government?
Well, I think the huge issue was actually the federal employees not getting paid starting in mid-October. So we were dealing with that surge earlier, and then beginning November 1st is when SNAP EBT cards stopped being reloaded in Texas and around the country. I got to give some credit to Health and Human Services Commission. As soon as their authorization to start back SNAP and at full benefits happened, they managed to pull it off in like a day or two.
No kidding.
Yeah, so we're back on track
Wonderful.
in Texas. So, the surge with the extra distributions, that was something, but yeah, the amount that those households were behind was way more than we could do, even though we ramped up really significantly. The community stepped up very nicely to help. But yeah, those households were hit, and I'm hoping that there wasn't too much long-term damage, because people taking out payday loans
Right.
and other like
Right.
horrible long-term strategies to try and
But
try
they're
and get by for a
desperate.
couple of
You know, they've tried. I mean, people, you do what you got to do to feed your family.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, really.
and you know, the Kinder Institute tells us that 43% of Houston area households don't have $400 they can call upon in an emergency. So, you know, there's a lot of households that like they're just getting by, and you just cannot take that kind of disruption. When you have that kind of disruption, it's not going to just hit them temporarily. It's going to take a long time to recover from that.
My goodness, y'all are doing the Lord's work. Now, y'all have a new distribution center. I guess it's been a couple of years now. But when did that distribution center come about again? The big one that you have.
Well, so yeah, the one we're in now in
That's
Fort Wall
right.
Street. Oh yeah, we've actually been there since 2011.
Okay, because I remember I was chairman of Metro, and we put a stop right there.
Yeah.
I remember that because people wanted to get to the food bank.
Yeah. It's so but you know, I got to admit, when we did the Metro reimagining
Yep.
and it moved a block away,
Yep.
that was the right move.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, because making Metro as efficient as possible for the riders
Yep.
is a lot better than just having to stop at every, you know.
Believe me. Well,
location.
you know, yes, it was my leadership, but it really wasn't me. Christoph Spieler was
I
the
love that
guy
guy.
he's just a genius. If he's out there, Christoph, you are one of a kind. That really redid the whole bus network. But I don't mean to take away from the facility. Is how big is it? It's massive.
308,000 square feet. It is still like a model in the network that food banks are kind of replicating so many of the things that we put into that, especially how we work with volunteers in that facility, really trying to maximize the ability to handle perishable foods out of that facility.
And you said, say it again, 300 and how many?
308.
So 308.
Yeah.
I want to put this in context. We're in 5 Houston Center, Houston and Harris County, where we're at. We broadcast out of my office. One floor is probably 40,000 square feet. So that means you're talking about almost 7 to 8 floors laid out. That's how big it is.
Yeah, and believe it or not.
That's humongous.
And we ran out of space in this facility.
Wow.
Yeah, bear in mind that when we started those plans, again, the food bank was doing like 30 million pounds
Right.
a year, and it's just like we're nowhere near capturing what is possible.
And
to
you
do.
thought, oh, we're never going to need this space, and already you need more space.
Yeah, so we're renting another 100,000, and then we're working on plans to put in a second large, facility about the same size. It'll be very different in how it works.
How much of it is, freezer? I mean, I guess you have a big freezer, right?
About 25,000 square feet
A freezer?
of 5 high freezer. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So the reality is no food bank has ever built a freezer big enough that they didn't immediately fill it.
No kidding.
Yeah, because it's like frozen food, the food industry, if they've got surplus frozen food, they want it out that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because it's so expensive for them to keep. So it's just like there's so much, and you think about what's happened to supermarkets. The freezer case, there was the freezer case in the store. Now there's rows, or there's banks and banks and banks of freezer cases because that's how people are consuming food now.
Right.
Then canned food, traditional things, when people think of a pantry, that is a very small part of what we distribute now. It is mostly perishable foods. It's temperature control foods is overwhelmingly what we do.
Wow, I'm overwhelmed just hearing you. We got God. We have 1 minute. Who do we got? Is there what happened? Was there a Stacy? Gone? Julia. Who do I got? Who do I got? Julia, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You got about 20 seconds. What do you got for me or Mr. Brian Greene?
I had a question for Mr. Greene.
Go
I
for
was
it.
wondering what is the best food to donate, and if y'all take any toiletries or diapers or anything like that as well.
Peanut butter is, very, very popular. Of course, a lot of the Latin community is not a big fan of peanut butter, but dry beans, dry rice is also great.
Very good. Brian, you remember Carol Burnett?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Remember when she had that song, I'm so glad we had this time together? Guess what? It's time to say so long.
That's what that music means?
That's what that means. Can you believe we've been on this air for an hour? You probably thought, with this guy Gilbert Garcia, and by the way, I want you to know, my favorite place to get carne guisada is Laredo Taqueria. They have the best carne guisada, and by the way, they don't pay for that airtime. I really do love their food.
Well, that's something.
I just love it. But going back, it's already time to say so long. I need to have you back because I feel like we didn't cover anything. Can you?
Well, I hope we covered something.
But I mean, it just flew.
Yeah, that was a good time.
It flew. You probably thought, that guy, great Gilbert Garcia's been bugging me to get on the air, blah, blah, blah. And you probably thought, what are we going to say for an hour? It's already over. I want to thank you for what you do. Give us the rundown real quick. The website, what else do we need to do? Everything. Just tell Houston, Harris County, how can people get involved with the Houston Food Bank to help all these people in need?
Well, HoustonFoodBank.org, and this works if you are looking for food assistance, if you want to volunteer, if you want to donate, or if you just want to do some research, HoustonFoodBank.org. We'd love to have you.
Amen. You heard it here first. Mr. Brian Greene, CEO of the Houston Food Bank, doing the Lord's work. This is Gilbert Garcia of A Tip From Me, Talk, Inspiration, and Prayer, saying we'll see you next time.
All right, Houston, Harris County, this is Gilbert Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, Talk, Inspiration, and Prayer. We're going to now be on television. We will air every Saturday on Comcast 17, AT&T Channel 99, Phonoscope Channel 96, Suddenlink 99, and also HMSTV.org. Every new episode every Saturday at 7 p.m. And follow me on social media. See you then.